Deepwater Horizon, it's another movie directed by Peter Berg, the same guy that directed Lone Survivor. Yeah, that awesome ass movie. This one stars Mark Wahlberg, Kurt Russell, Jane the Virgin, the Maze Runner. I know that his name is Dylan O'Brien. I like calling him the Maze Runner because he was good in Maze Runner. This one is a true story about an oil rig back in 2010 or something like that. An oil rig that like kaboom and exploded, and there was this big problem and some people died, and this tells the survival story from the perspective of one of the engineers, electrical engineers or whatever he is in this movie. Mark Wahlberg plays Mike Williams, and the story is told from his perspective about how he and a group of others tried to help everybody else survive in this big oil rig natural disaster thingy. If there's one thing that Peter Berg has proven with movies like Lone Survivor and this one is that he can do some pretty intense ass shooting. Because that shit was intense. You felt it here. I thought the performances all around in this movie were pretty damn good. Mark Wahlberg, I mean, he's Marky Mark at this point. The guy is solid, even if he's in a really shitty-ass movie like Transformers Age of Extinction or something. He's usually the best part of that shitty-ass movie. He's like a piece of gold nugget found in a pile of poo. That's Mark Wahlberg. Luckily, this movie's not a pile of poo. It's more like a clean toilet bowl. I'm gonna stay away from the toilet stuff at this point. Kurt Russell, he's just an impressive ass actor. The dude gives another really good performance in this one. His stash, man. Kurt Russell has like one of the most impressive stashes ever. Like no matter what movie he's in, his stash and his acting are usually like the best parts of those movies. At this point, I think we should put Kurt Russell's stash in like a museum somewhere, preserve it after he's gone, so that we can tell fables and stories about the legends that stash presented to us on screen. Just saying, I'm floating the idea out there. If Kurt Russell wants his mustache preserved, I am on his side. Jane the Virgin, Gina Rodriguez, I know her name. She's Jane the Virgin to me. She was very good in this movie as well. They did try to give her character a little bit of backstory at the beginning. Not much character development for those outside of Mike Williams. Dylan O'Brien was pretty good too. He wasn't running as much as he usually does in Maze Runner, but he was pretty good. There are some really intense ass scenes in this movie, not gonna lie. Like in the second half of the movie, where shit gets real and just there's a whole bunch of stuff happening and just chaos and explosions and oil. He uses a mix up of really close up shots, and he uses a mix of shaky cam. He just adds this grittiness to it where it just feels really, really intense. There's just a couple of moments when shit is going down in the second half of this movie. I'm just sitting there in my seat like, oh, holy, ooh, damn! Oh, they're not walking away from that. I really love the way Peter Berg shot those disaster sequences in this movie. Just some really intense shit. I also like that they injected a little bit of extra humor into this movie. Good touch. It kind of felt like a workplace environment. Like it felt like if you go to Amazon or if you go to UPS or if you go to a place like that, there's a lot of different characters in this movie that don't really get a lot of shine for sure. But they usually pop up for a line or two. 90% of the time in this movie, I had no idea what was going on. And I'm not talking about like from the, okay, I understand that oil and pipe and PCI and all that shit. I'm just talking about the way they explained the oil stuff that they do on this oil rig. Like the day-to-day operations, the maintenance, and stuff leading up to the big, oh my God, this isn't working out situation. 90% of it, I just couldn't understand. Like the lingo, the way they were talking really fast, they were talking really technical. It was oil talk mumbo jumbo. The only way I knew what was going on in the first half of this movie is they would put like white block letters on the screen letting you know, hey, this is the room that they're in and this is what they need to do. This is what they're trying to do. If somebody put a gun to my head and was just like, hey, recite the oil rig lingo from this movie word for word, I'd be like, well, you have bullets, you know what to do. A nitpick, there's a little bit of noticeable CGI, just a little bit in the explosions and the fire and stuff in the second half of the movie. It's a nitpick, it's still really awesome stuff. I'm just saying some of the CGI is a little bit noticeable. I mean, you know, Peter Berg, come on, you're better than that, buddy. It's an intense movie. It's a good, like, thriller. The second half of this movie is just nonstop chaos and stuff and just really, really good stuff. Really good performances. And you really do feel and care for a lot of the people in this movie, even if there's not really a whole lot of great character development for them. It's a Man of Steel time at the movies for sure. Guys, I will have another review up tomorrow for one of my favorite TV shows, and that's all I'm willing to say right now. Thank you guys so much, and as always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.